So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're gonna put him under arrest. He said, "I'm gonna murder your wife and baby."
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past.
So we're gonna press charges.
He said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and are dealing with the guy. I cannot believe this right now. Don't bring your kids down here. It's not safe.
Don't bring your kids to D.C.
Not safe at all.
Well, one of the benefits of this whole thing is that now that Trump is in D.C. and he's taken over and he's made the city more safe, and I'm not going to say completely safe because you can't completely control people, but you can definitely be in a position to where if something like this happens, you can address it accordingly, and you don't have to be subjected to the idea that you just got to walk away or these maniacs can just continue to be on the streets, because the streets are for pedestrians. It's for everybody. It's not just for the maniacs. It's not for people that set up tent cities. I can't wait to get back to DC now. And I want to walk the streets and I want to see what the difference is between the times that I was there previously, because I've done multiple different events in DC, obviously, and then I've also traveled to DC for the ball and all, the whole inauguration and then, White House stuff and all of that. But, I'm very excited to travel back to DC just to be in the streets and see what the difference is, because, now that we have the National Guard and they are assisting police officers, not only with immigrations and customs and illegal migrants, but also making sure that vagrants and vagabonds, and when I say vagrants and vagabonds, I'm speaking specifically upon people that prey upon other people, when they're not supposed to be doing stuff like this, they need to be held accountable. And no, the whole no snitching, I'm going to handle it myself, I'm a tough guy, that's for the birds. That's out the window, because nobody is trying to go to jail. Nobody is trying to be in a confrontation where you put your baby and you put your wife at risk. But obviously they were coming from an event where they were dressed up, and then to be walking down the street and to see a black guy say to them, "Yo, I want to kill your wife and your baby," you need to be arrested, you need to be prosecuted, and you need to be pressed charges against to the fullest extent of the law. No longer, and I don't care if you're white, I don't care if you're black, I don't care what your nationality is, people need to be held accountable for their actions, and no longer should you guys just let people get away with saying wild stuff. That's over. That day is dead. Force the police officers to do their jobs, right? Force the mayors to put more police officers on the streets and the budget correctly. Force your legislators and go to the city council meetings. Start getting involved. Now is the time for you to truly get involved so you can better understand what is happening in your city, so that when you see decisions come down where Trump is saying, listen, I want to make DC safe first because this is where the White House is. I want to make sure that we going into Memphis, possibly going into New Orleans next, and or St. Louis, and we need to go city by city. And he is asking for the mayors and the governors to call him so that he can actually use the federal powers to make sure that people get the help that they need when it comes to getting off the streets. Because if you've ever worked with a person that's been on the streets, you understand that they are not the nicest people to deal with. As a matter of fact, it's been some of the most horrific experiences as far as dealing with people on the streets that I've ever had in my entire life. Because a lot of you may know that, and some of you may be new here, but a lot of you know that I've done a lot of homelessness work. I tithe to the streets, and then I also make sure that people, get what they need in order to be successful, or at least to survive to the next day in my own communities. But more importantly, it's so funny that, he wants them to call him so that they can, get the full force of the federal government to help them keep the street safe. And the only thing that most of them want to do is just get the money and the resources so they can plug budget deficits, because they don't know how to manage city finances correctly. And instead of them monitoring things so that they can go to pre-pandemic spending, what they've decided to do is just leverage community groups in order to continue to pilfer money, and then change the way that they report crime so that they can pretend that crime is down in all of these Democrat cities, and it's not. Those very threats, nobody should be dying, and that's the key. Nobody wants crime to go down. We want crime to be practically non-existent. We want people to be preventative when it comes to crime. We want them to know that as soon as you do something, you will be held accountable for your actions. The minute that you make a threat that you're not supposed to be making a threat about, you will be pressed charges against. And we need to get rid of all of this tough guy mentality. People that are in these communities that have problems, you need to be on your legislators, on your city council people, on your aldermen. And Trump said, you know what, listen, forget Chicago. Cool, we'll just send ICE over there to round up illegal migrants. Obviously, one of them has been taken out because he tried to drag an ICE officer and getting away because he had warrants out for his arrest. We'll send ICE and Homeland Security to deal with that over there. And in the meantime, the cities that we actually know want the help in order to make sure that the cities is clean and safe, then we'll send the National Guard out to these places. But the fact that that threat just came out so openly and without any kind of reservation, nobody can take these things safe anymore. Like, you can't take anything for granted. You can't assume that you're safe. You can't assume that everybody is working on your behalf. You can't do that anymore. Not after the train incident. Not after the train incident. And let me say this too, and I was telling people this on the Millionaire Morning Show. Ladies, you cannot be out in these streets by yourself, alone, traversing, even when it's just with another woman and it's you. Like, you can't be out here by yourself because y'all have become targets. Y'all have become food. The last person that was killed, the train in North Carolina, it was a young girl. He didn't know her from Adam. And as soon as she sat down, next thing you know, she's bleeding out in the seat from recently getting stabbed. And she probably was in shock. And the next thing you know, she bleeds out. We cannot the guys aren't even safe. So what makes you think that you're safe? If you are walking with your husband, if she was just walking with a baby or if she was just walking by herself, who's to say that she wouldn't have been food out there? But the fact that she was walking with a man that had her back, that had her covering, that could have protected her if anything was to ever pop off, while at the same time making sure that he addressed the authorities to get that guy arrested, and he was still talking crazy. And I can tell that he probably said it because of the incendiary remarks that he said to him as he was getting arrested, right? You have to be very, very vigilant about what's going on around you, because these people are not cool. They are not safe to be around. And the streets is bad. It is bad. It is super bad out here in these streets. And so I don't trust anybody. I'm very careful. I keep my head on a swivel. I only go down in certain areas. I think that, there's a war happening spiritually, and we war based off of principalities. And you have to assume the worst so that you can keep yourself protected. And there's nothing wrong with profiling, because profiling will keep you alive. Profiling will keep you safe. While everybody talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion and trying to make people feel good about their decisions, you have to make sure that you do self-preservation, because it is not safe out here for y'all. It ain't safe for the guys, let alone the women. But it's so many people that feel like they could just do whatever it is that they want to do and still get away with it. But we need to start holding these people accountable, pressing charges to the fullest extent of the law. And also, we need to advocate for our legislators to make sure that they actually use the full force of the law, keep these people locked up, implement the bail system like it's supposed to, and prevent people from doing crimes against humanity. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments.